Hi, friends. In our time together today, I'm introducing that beautiful tune, The Leaving of Liverpool, for us to play on our low and high D whistles. It's I think of it as a ballad. Some folks call it Fare Thee Well, My Own True Love, because that's the opening line of the primary set of lyrics for the tune. And I don't want to jump into the history, so hold that thought. uh, what we'll do in our time together today is I'll walk us through the tune one phrase at a time. It really has two parts. There's the verse and the chorus. And I'll break the tune up that way. Though when you're playing a tune, it may not feel verse, chorus. It's just that it's important to know because it's often a sung tune. So I'll walk us through a phrase at a time of the verse and then the chorus. And then in the play along with Scott's section, I'll play through the entire tune at a steady pace. All of that without ornamentation or expression, if I can do that. Because it's important to gather a sense of the core of the tune as much as possible. I don't want you learning my ornamented version. In a few days, I'm going to share a practice session where I will share an ornamented version. But that's more to help you think about what you want to do, not so that you imitate me or any other amazing, well, not any other, or any amazing musician you may happen to hear playing this tune. So after the play along with Scott's section, we'll talk about potential difficulties you'll experience, ornamentation and expression, and then the history of this fun tune, which is pretty cool. Now, for our time together today, I'm playing the Carbony wide bore low D with close finger spacing. And I chose the Carbony because of that. You can really play the Carbony with some thoughtful warmth and yet still be very responsive. And that's why I wanted to do that. And I'll stick links in the notes to this video to where you could pick up a Carbony. And if you buy from Carbony, I have a discount code. So that's always helpful too. Now, I'm also putting at the top of the notes to this video a link to the page on my website from which you could download the music and tabs if you would like to use those, because, I think they're helpful. But here is the verse, one phrase at a time, so that you could see and get a sense of playing the tune. Even if you use music and tabs, this is still very important. Alrighty, that is the verse. And now for the chorus. That's the chorus. one of the reasons I do the pauses, or a couple of reasons. One, so that you could just see and hear a phrase. The other is so that you could just immediately pause the video and then try that phrase. And then go back just a smidge and listen to it again. Or really, I put chapters in so that you could just go back to other sections, and you could go back to that walkthrough a number of times and then pause it, play the phrase. And then by the time you've done that, you're really going to know the tune. Now, if you'd like to play along with me, which I hope you will, here is the Play Along with Scott section where I play the entire tune. I'll play verse, chorus at a moderate pace without ornamentation or expression. Alrighty, that is the entire tune. It's lovely. Moving us first to thinking about any challenges I think you'll experience in playing this tune. I think you noticed that the tune really doesn't go above the second octave E. So the entire tune is played primarily in the first octave, and so that makes it kind of a more mellow tune, and that's pretty cool. But the challenge is, I describe this as a ballad. The tune tells a story, and so I'll get to this in the history. I think it's important for us to get to listen to folks singing and at least get some sense of the story so that you know how to emote the tune. Because as a story, you're not playing it as an air, or as a slow air where you're sitting on things. You're playing it more like an air, where it has a definite pattern and you're following the pattern and the rhythm. And you're not deviating it from it a lot, except where you need to emote something, as you'll see in the way people sing it. But, so the challenge is getting into that. And so as I'm playing it, I like to think through at least one of the verses, and that'll be helpful. So get yourself to the point where you can feel the tune as you play it. Ornamentation and expression is kind of the same comment, which is interesting. So you want the story to flow from your playing. Now, if you're playing it, people aren't going to hear the words unless somebody's singing while you're playing. And if somebody's singing while you're playing, then it's follow the leader. You're following the leader singing. But you can convey the emotion of the tune even without the words of the tune. And so think about that. So you're going to slide some. You saw me put in some. Even if I'm going to use a cut and a tap, I'm probably lightening it up some, which is why I wanted to use a whistle I could be more mellow and gentle on. Even though you could really lean into the Carbony, I could still play it very, very gently, as with a number of the other whistles I have. But, I wanted to use this one. So I've heard some people play it quickly, but for the most part, this is played very smoothly and gently and flowing. Beautiful, smooth transitions, some slides, maybe a pause and a re-entry, a light cut or tap, not dominant. So a little vibrato maybe sitting. Since you end on a D, you might want to use some like diaphragm or air vibrato, or you might want to end it like with a little crayon or something there. So however you want to do that. And you could even sit, you could do a little ornament at that last note and then fade. And that's kind of fun. And if I'm fading, I'm probably not adding any other ornamentation in the middle, even though I just did that. So that's that. Let's check out let's think through the history of the tune together. First thing I want to say is not so much about the history as the popularity and the depth of love for this tune. There are a lot of groups who play this tune as a beautiful ballad. And I dearly would love you to go and listen to them. A couple, just a few that I really like. I particularly, and I mentioned Tommy Makem a good bit, but I think like you can find Tommy singing this. He's playing a banjo. I think that's a delight. That's a beautiful version because of the way Tommy sings it, which is really cool. The Dubliners, the High King, the Pogues, others. One of my favorite versions, and I honestly forget who did it. I looked a little while ago and I couldn't find it. There's a group playing, and then they get to the chorus, and it's like a small setting, and the whole crowd just chimes in and sings the chorus. I loved that. It was so much fun. So anyway, pay attention to people playing this. Now, like I said, the tune tells a story, and I'm going to get more into that. Well, let's jump to the history bit, and then I'll tell you about the lyrics. William Dürflinger, I think, if I said that correctly, collected old traditional tunes, and he learned this tune from Richard Maitland, who was a retired sea captain. And Maitland said that he was on a ship called the General Knox in 1885. And as he was up walking on the deck, he heard someone singing this tune, singing this song, and he loved it, wanted to learn it. And so, he picked that up. Now, there are two primary versions of the lyrics. You'll hear some version, but the primary version I have heard is I'll share the first verse and the chorus with you. Fare thee well to you, my own true love, for I'm going far away. I am bound for California, and I hope that I'll return someday. So fare thee well, my own true love, and when I return, united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that grieves me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Isn't that lovely? And it carries on. There are just some beautiful verses. It's a tune about the pain of leaving home. And it's a tune about lost love that you hope you're going to be reunited with and you really don't know. And so now let's circle back So read the lyrics; they're a blast, or just listen to all the lyrics of somebody singing. Let's circle back to the timing. So remember, Maitland was on the General Knox in 1885. That's when he first heard it. And that means that this tune existed long enough before that it became popular with those who were leaving Liverpool and going all kinds of places, like America, for example. Now, you've got a couple of versions and options here. Is someone, they're probably leaving to seek their fortune because, well, think of the timing again. Depending upon the story, the story of the song behind the lyrics is somewhere between probably the late 1850s or in the 1850s or up to the mid 1870s, depending upon the lyrics and depending upon what we know of the mass emigrations leaving from Liverpool as opposed to other ports. And so that's really important for that timestamp on this as to when the story itself that the song tells when that originates. And it's popular enough that the lyrics remain pretty intact. Now, like I said, there's another set of lyrics, but they tell a very similar story. But the ones I hear primarily are the ones I mentioned, Fare Thee Well, To You My Own True Love. And so those are amazing. I just love it. I want to learn all the lyrics so I could sing it sometime. And so that if I'm playing it through more than once, I'll be able to do that. So it's a story of launching on a new adventure that you desperately have to take for the sake of your family, and you're leaving some of your family behind. You might be leaving your own true love behind. You're not even married yet. And then you hope to find your fortune. Maybe you're off to California. Good luck with the gold rush. I'm not sure how that's going to go for you. And then you hope to come back. And there are some other beautiful Irish ballads that tell of the same painful stories from this time period. So that'd be an interesting thing to do, to gather together the songs that tell these painful stories and sing them as a collection. I don't know. We'd all be crying halfway through. But they tell such a powerful story. Anyway, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like it. That helps YouTube promote our amazing community. If you're brand new and checking us out because of the tune, please subscribe. We'd love to welcome you in among our friends learning to play the whistle together. And until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling, friends.